as of yesterday, over $11 million in venture capital and other forms of funding into our business.
Wow.
Right? Chief among them being one of the largest crowd funds for a Black-owned business ever. So we raised over $4.5 million. And as of yesterday, we raised an additional $1 million from people who support the company, customers, community members, other entrepreneurs. So many people now own a part of our business, right? And you can too. If you go to WeFunder.com/Chromix, we're actually still taking investments. But we've raised over $11 million in various forms of capital. And then on top of that, another personal point of pride, we paid back more than $4 million in various types of loans and temporary financing. So we've run the entire gamut of funding over the years in order to make our business work, to grow, and to scale, and to accomplish our goals. And so I want to help you all achieve that same thing today. So a little bit of participation. Who am I talking to? Who has a business? Just make some noise real quick. Who has a business? All right. Who has a business that is making money today? Yeah, this is a huge thing. Actually, most businesses, they get registered and they don't make money, they lose money. So congratulations. All right, and so if you take nothing away from my talk here today, what I want you to know is these 4 questions, right? It's 4 questions you have to ask yourself. You can write these down. Number 1, because this is what you really have to do at the very beginning of the journey. I don't know where you are on your journey, but this is what I wish I had done at the beginning of my journey. It would have been so much easier. Right? I don't know if y'all know this, but it can be a struggle. But 4 questions you should ask yourself. Number 1, how big do you want to be? And this is a real number. I like to think about it in terms of revenue per year, right? How many people would love to have a business that made $100,000 per year? Make some noise. Okay. How many of you would like to have a business that makes over $250K per year? All right. Okay. How many people want to have $1 million a year business? 5 million? 100? Excellent. That's the first question. How big do you want to be? The next thing you want to ask is how fast do you want to get there? That can be tough, right? Because that is going to change how you operate. It's going to change the types of decisions you make. It's going to change the type of funding you're going to go after. But it is very, very important that you ask yourself how fast you want to get there. And then number 3, how do you want to exit that business, right? That's a tough one. A lot of people don't want to talk about exiting your business, but whether you like it or not, you will exit your business. You can exit it with a sale, an acquisition. You can exit it with selling off part of the business. You can build a legacy, pass it down to someone you love, or pass it down to someone who's going to be responsible for taking that legacy into the future. Or you could fail to do all those things and just pass away. And you will also exit your business, but you will be exiting your business. I hope you know that, and I hope you plan for it. All right? And then when you exit that business, the last question you want to ask is, how much of the business do you want to have when you exit? And bear with me, I'm getting over a bit of a cold here, so hopefully my voice holds out for the entire talk. But those are the 4 questions that we're going to have to answer as we go through it, and I'm going to walk you through our story as we go through it. In the beginning, we did not ask ourselves those 4 questions. We were fresh out of college, hoping to be like the next Mark Zuckerberg. We had dreams of starting a tech company. We had an idea from our senior year in our dorm room. We were going to launch a social network for women with naturally curly hair. We called it the Natural Hair Academy. We did everything we could that summer after we left school to try to get funding for that business. We did pitch competitions. We tried to pitch VCs. We went to banks. We tried to get credit card loans. Nobody would call us back. Nobody wanted to talk to us. They wouldn't even take our meetings right? Because we were just two kids with no credit history, really nothing to put up, nothing to offer other than a really good idea, right? And then when we did pitch competitions, to this day, we haven't won anything in a pitch competition that wasn't an actual pitch. I mean, I literally got to throw out the first pitch of the Cubs game with no money. You cannot take that to the bank. That does not count as an investment in your business. But it was fun. And so, fresh out of school, we had no access to capital, no access to money, but we had an idea, we had a dream, and we thought we were going to be billionaires one day. Let's figure out how to do this. So my wife, bless her heart, she figured out that I was really, really good at trivia. I was captain of the academic decathlon team at Morgan Park High School in the south side of Chicago. Shout out to all the Mustangs if y'all are in the audience. Okay. All right. And so she signed me up for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And I thought it was a dumb idea. I was like, there's no way I'm going to make it on that show. It's like a lottery thing. We really should talk to more VCs. But I came home after work one day. I was working as a research assistant. And she met me at the door. She said, I bought your plane ticket. I booked the hotel. I got the tryout ticket. You're going to New York. I said, yes, dear. I got my tail on that plane, went to New York, and we actually ended up making it on the show. And I won $100,000 on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And that is how we funded our very first business, right? We had to get creative. Thank you. We had to get very, very creative because we didn't have any access to capital, right? Not all of us have rich uncles. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but none of my uncles rich. And then not a lot of us can do what would typically happen at the beginning of a business, which is like a friends and family round, right? Where you get money from people you know who love and support you. But if y'all are like me and a lot of other Black and brown entrepreneurs, you're probably the one in your family supporting the family, right? The one getting the money back, right? So we don't have access to those traditional ways of getting money in the beginning of a business. So that was kind of our first foray into getting money into our business. And with that, we started to learn, we started to grow, but that business didn't make any money on its own. It failed in about 2 years. And we were like, you know what? The next time we do our business, we're going to build it differently. We're going to try to make money from day one. We're going to try to build it in a way that doesn't require money to start out, right? Because we knew that it was very, very difficult to start a new business and get money into it. But there are some ways you can go about it, right? The number one thing is probably going to be your salary. If you are working a job, that's money into the business. You're the very first investor. How many of y'all are the very first investors in your business, right? I know I was. I would work a full day and then work another full day on the business when you come back home, right? You had your 9 to 5 and you got your 5 to 9. That's how we funded it early on. That's how we bought materials. That's how we got the trademarks. That's how we started making sales. That's how we built the website. All those different things, right? I was still working. We had money in savings. We had credit cards, right? We were able to pull things, get grants and things like that. Those early stage funding vehicles are very, very important for new businesses. And so if you are a new business, if you haven't pursued those items, I highly, highly suggest starting out up until you get to about 250K in sales. Then you're gonna start to have different kinds of problems, right? Different kinds of scale. And so that worked for us for a while. We had 1 month where we jumped from about 15K in sales to over 30,000 in sales. And we were like, oh crap, we're gonna need some help. We don't have enough money to get the inventory that we would need to even fulfill these sales. What do we do? So at the time, we'd known about the venture capital game. So our goal was to see if we could get an investor into the business, bring in some outside money, right? And our thing was we had been building up relationships in the VC space. So even though we hadn't won any money, we hadn't successfully pitched any VCs, we were doing everything we could to hustle and keep those relationships going so that when we did have success enough to be recognized by an investor, we were ready for it. And so we were sending monthly updates on our growth numbers, our metrics, profits, sales, customers, all that stuff to a slew of investors. And it came to a head when we had an event where Arlen Hamilton was speaking. She is the founder of Backstage Capital, and she was the first investor I've ever had. And she's my girl, best friend to this day. She was just at our house last week. But she was the very first money in the Crobians, and it's because we pitched her on our idea after we built up some success, and we really just needed enough money to keep us going. She gave us a check for $25,000 to about less than 1% of the business at the time, right? But now we flipped that money crazy, right? She came up big time. But in the very beginning, if you're out of that stage where your sweat equity won't take you any further, you got to start pulling in outside money. And that got us to about over $1 million in sales. And then we hit a point in our business where we were growing and we were about to be on Shark Tank. Anybody watch that show? If y'all know anything about Shark Tank, there's this thing called the Shark Tank effect, where as soon as that episode airs, people get killed with new orders. And we knew we were going to grow. We knew we were on our way to achieve over $1 million in sales that year. So we wanted to get some help. We wanted more sophisticated investors. So our goal was to pitch Sharks, get Shark on our team. That ended up not working out. We went on the show. We turned down a deal for Robert Herjavec for $400,000 for about 10% of our business because we knew our worth. And that wasn't it. That was not enough for what we saw, what we were building. But we got very lucky. Arlen Hamilton introduced us to her partner, Jeff Weiner, who watched the show with his wife and wanted to invest over $1 million into our business. Wow. And that relationship that we had built up through email that led to that first $25,000 led to $1.2 million in our first seed round. Because we had put in the work, we were growing, we had something to offer, and now we were operating at a different scale, right? And so at that next stage of our business, we were able to get in 1.2 million in sales. But as you know, the business is going to keep growing. Your problems are going to get bigger. Your bills are going to get bigger. You make $1 million, you got $1 million bills, right? I don't know how many people are at that scale yet, but it can be scary. And you want to have enough financing to get through that next stage. And we always had problems getting financing, right? This goes back to the very beginning. We couldn't get VCs to talk to us. Imagine having 5 million in sales and still not getting VCs in the room or on board with you. And it can be tough. This is a story we see all the time from Black and Brown founders, where you are successful, you've been doing everything right, but still people who don't look like you don't believe in you. They don't understand what you're building. They don't see the need in the marketplace. They don't understand the product. They don't value the customer. So we decided to do something very different. We decided to go directly to the people who do value us, to the people who do understand us, to the people who do hear and see the problems that we're solving in our businesses. And that was the crowdfunding. We initially went out to our customers, the people who love and support us. We raised almost $1 billion just from our customers. So now people own the brand. And so you can imagine what power that is that when we exit, which is the plan, not only do our customers make money, but we make money and we all win together, right? That's the ultimate goal of this business. We all want to win together. But we decided to go to the crowd and raise over $4.5 million from 7,000 investors, over 7,000 investors that look like you and me, right? The average check size, I think, was about $500. It was extremely accessible, but it worked because we found the audience, we found the investors that resonated with what we were trying to build. And then after that, we then scaled to now 10 million, over 10 million in sales. We're at another level of business. And the next thing we needed to do was get institutional VC money. Anyone familiar with institutional VCs? Right? I know my brother Jeff was up here earlier. He's actually in the same fund that we're in. Shout out to Cleveland Avenue, who was one of our newest investors. They were able to invest in us in this last round. And we're also extending that now to the crowd again. But we're now at this level where we can get real VC money, so those people who can talk to us, as we start to approach our ultimate goal, which is a 9-figure company that exits for 9 or 10 figures, right? That's the goal. And we wanted to do it very quickly. And that's why we chose VC as the route. And so I want to talk a little bit, while I have a little bit of time, about all those different funding options that you could look at or start to look at the different scales of your business. How many of you are familiar with this brand called Savage X Fenty? Anybody? Anybody know? Yeah. Love Rihanna. She's amazing, amazing entrepreneur. Even better entrepreneur than she is a musician, because we still ain't got no album. And so what's really cool about her business is she got to what the SBA calls a bigger business within 4 years. Anybody know what the number is, what the SBA kind of delineates between small and large businesses? Small business, less than 40 million in revenue. I mean, that's crazy. That's what they call it. If you're less than 40 million, you're a small business. She got there in 4 years, right? Because she took on investors. But if you take a look at someone like Telfar, who got a Telfar in here? I know some of y'all, at least one of y'all got the Telfar. Let me see it. Show it out. Okay, you got it at home. That's cool. But Telfar is an amazing black-owned brand, right? Amazing black-owned brand. But it took him 11 years to make $100,000. Because he's a big business now, but it took him over 15 years. And so when I asked that question in the beginning, how big do you want to be? And then how fast you want to get there, those are very, very different things. How you approach it determines a whole lot. Right? You can go the Rihanna route, you can take on investors, you can get there in 4 years, be a billionaire, be on the cover of all the magazines very quickly. Or you can go the Telfar route, don't take on any investors, right? He owns 100% of his business. He makes over 40, 50 million per year now, but it took him 15 years to get there, and that's great. He had all the control, but these are the things you want to be thinking about, right? You want to be thinking about this at the very, very beginning. Now, one last thing I want to leave you with is when it comes to the exit, right? This is the part where people get really, really choked up because the business is our baby, right? We spend all this time working in it, living it, breathing it all day, but eventually, like every baby, it will grow up and it will leave us one day. And we will have to move on with that. And our goal is to be able to be happy with that exit, right? Be happy with where you are with that exit. And it can be a legacy, like I said, or it can be something that builds wealth longer term, like an acquisition or a sale. Our goal with our company from the very, very beginning was to get acquired or to IPO or to sell. So we knew we wanted an exit event, right? We were trying to begin with the end in mind. And so we knew we needed investors to be large enough for that exit event. And that exit event has to be large enough to return money to those investors. And so we took all of the steps we needed to take in our business in order to get there. But there was kind of one question kind of driving that. It's how much do you want to have of that business at the end of the day? How much do you really need in order to consider yourself happy, successful? What kind of life do you want to lead along that journey? What kind of things do you want to take away from that journey of being an entrepreneur such that you feel like your work and your time and energy and effort was worth it? And I love this phrase. It's, would you rather have 100% of a grape or a slice of a watermelon, right? If you decide to go the route where you're bringing on investors, where you're bringing on outside capital, where you're growing extremely fast, you're going to get to that level. It's going to get there, but you're not going to have all of the business. You have to be okay with giving up a little bit of that control, right? I don't have a lot of time, but I want to leave you with one other thing, is that it is okay to give up that control. I know a lot of times we worry about that, but if there's any solace, know that when we are in the business and the game of building wealth, right, we have to get it from somewhere. And so I appreciate it when companies begin with the end in mind and are seeking exits and opportunities to acquire wealth and then bring it back into the communities that they run through the businesses that they build up and they sell and acquire. And I'll be here for the rest of the day if you guys have any questions about anything I've talked about. You can also get copies of a copy of this course at kimlewisceo.com. We'll be launching a course about how to raise funding for your business real soon. You can go to kimlewisceo.com, sign up for that email list. If you have questions there, you can also send us an email in our contact page. Thank you all very much, and I wish you all the best and the success in your business. Yeah, of course, that's another one of our. You guys have a beautiful day, and I'll see you.